This is the track for the main couple piece. As dusk settled in, the firing began. Fire blossomed on either side of the road. As we approached Baghdad, tanks were low on fuel. We stopped and waited in the dark until first light. Oh, another incoming round. Very close. And again. This is no movie. This is life and death decisions made in an instant. Effectively an on-the-ground definition of war.
"18 days, 300 miles on the road to Baghdad." Tip of the Spear, a Nightline special. Reporting from Baghdad, Ted Koppel.
Today, soldiers from the 3rd Infantry Division walked into Saddam Hussein's palace in central Baghdad. It was the end of a journey that began 3 weeks ago. It was a long, dusty, and exhausting campaign. Looking back, everyone's a genius. You can see how things went right and where they didn't. Sometimes even why they didn't. Looking back, you can see where some fears were misplaced and others were taken just a shade too lightly. We're going to look back tonight, but without the benefit of hindsight. There are some things we can tell you now that we couldn't share at the time for reasons of operational security, but otherwise, this is the story of a period covering precisely 3 weeks. A very short period of time, although it hasn't seemed so. But we will tell you that story as we experienced it, one day at a time. Memory has a way of homogenizing reality, reshuffling experiences of the moment according to the perspective and priorities that the passage of time affords. The heat, the cold, the dark panic of driving through the desert at night without lights or night vision goggles, the fatigue, the sandstorms, the moments of despair. All seem relatively trivial now. They weren't trivial at the time. This story is far from over. Some of its more difficult passages may still lie ahead. But every story has to begin somewhere. This one begins in a tent in the northern Kuwaiti desert. It's just after 4 in the morning. 3 weeks ago, almost to the hour.
And protect your country by permitting...
The commander of the 3rd Infantry Division and I are sitting inside his operational headquarters watching a live television transmission of the president addressing the American people.
Saddam Hussein and his sons must leave Iraq within 48 hours. Their refusal to do so will result in military conflict, commenced at a time of our choosing.
Most of you men and women are still asleep, haven't heard it. What are you going to tell them in the morning?
I've been waiting for this. This will be really the pre-notification that something's going to happen.
Major General Buford Blunt. The planners of this war have determined that his armored columns will be quite literally the tip of the spear thrust at Baghdad. It's a heavy armored division. Literally hundreds of tanks, Bradley fighting vehicles, armored personnel carriers, and Humvees. The division is just shy of 20,000 men and women. How's the waiting?
It sucks. It really sucks. I figure the quicker we get started, the quicker we'll be done.
In a matter of days, they'll be driving north across the border into Iraq, headed for Baghdad. A Nightline team and I will be with them. The moment is at hand. Now what's going through your head? Butterflies in your stomach?
Not butterflies yet, but it's sobering. We're continually thinking about the soldiers, the families, and their welfare, trying to make sure that they all come back safely.
You get paid to worry about all your men, about all their safety. What concerns you most?
I get paid to do a little worrying, Ted. I get paid to do a lot of problem solving. I get paid to do a lot of thinking ahead and taking care of soldiers. And that's really where my focus is.
I kind of wonder what's actually going to happen, because I've never seen combat, so it's something new for me.
You got something you can tell your partner here? You have.
Roger. And we have this talk before plenty of times. You know, combat, you're going to see things, the average American doesn't see. There's going to be death, destruction. Like I told him, like what my sergeant major back in Gulf War told me, hey, people going to die. Just don't let it be you.
Before the battle begins, consider the inadequacy of sound and video to convey a complete and accurate impression. The heat, for example. It's not bad yet, mid to high 80s during the day, but when the men put on their mop suits, their biochemical gear, the temperature inside those suits will rise anywhere from 20 to 40 degrees. Whatever they will need, food, water, everything but fuel and extra ammunition, they are carrying with them. And here will come the stand-upper, and the stand-upper will then lead into the various sound bites with about what they carried, the things they carried.
I carry a picture of my family, my wife, my son, who is 3, and my daughter, who's 1, and I carry that with me.
I carry my engagement ring, and I don't wear it because it gets scratched up. And I have a picture of my fiance in my wallet.
I have a military-issued Bible that they gave me. Carry that with me a lot.
Did you do a lot of Bible reading before this?
Not a lot, sir.
Carry me and my girlfriend's picture in my wallet, and then I carry her teddy bear in my left cargo pocket.
Let me see that teddy bear. Oh, this little guy's going to Iraq?
Pretty much. It's gonna keep me grounded, let me know what I'm coming home to, what I need to come home to.
On my orders, coalition forces have begun striking selected targets of military importance. These are opening stages of what will be a broad and concerted campaign.
Hello, Washington. This is the Copper Remote. This is Embed 1.
Peter, can you hear me?
Very clearly, Ted. Go ahead.
All right, excellent. I must say I was trying to think of something that would be appropriate to say on an occasion like this, and as is often the case, the best you can come up with is something that Shakespeare wrote for Henry V, wreak havoc and unleash the dogs of war. And there they start moving into Iraq. Alex, if you would just turn the camera around so that they can see this long line. You can see the line just stretching off into the distance. The drive toward Baghdad is certainly a larger preemptive operation than I think the United States of America has ever engaged in. And whichever way it goes, I think it's going to shift the plates of the world. The Euphrates, the mighty Euphrates, is not all that mighty at that particular point, as you can probably see from this video. Elements of the 3rd Infantry Division took it after a relatively easy night of fighting.
On the west side of Liberty.
This bridge is particularly important to them because it has the capacity to carry up to 85 tons, which means that the Marines who are going to be using it are going to be able to cross with their heavy armor, and they'll be heading straight up to Baghdad from here. I must tell you the toughest part is the driving. Tonight alone, 16 hours straight. There are times when they have total light discipline, which means that they have all their lights out. They, of course, have night vision goggles. We do not. So we finally pulled in behind one of the Humvees, and we got General Blunt's permission that Humvee was allowed to run these tiny tail lights at least so that we could follow the tail lights.